Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, what the heck, we're looking at a total knockoff bootleg CT Toys Mafex Wolverine. I said I wouldn't do it. I said I probably wouldn't do it. I did it. You guys asked. Enough of you asked me to get this and review it that I said I had to. I will do it for you. I've been gone for so long that I had to do something to make up for it, and this is it. I bought a pile of garbage. No, it's not a pile of garbage. It is a straight up knockoff bootleg. So before we get into the actual review, I want to have a quick discussion. I've told you guys, third-party stuff for me, it's a gray area. New sculpts make it a lot better. This is a straight up knockoff of the Mafex Wolverine. There are some slight tweaks here and there, but everybody knows what this is. It is not a new sculpt. It is not a new figure. It is a slightly adjusted knockoff, as opposed to a third-party figure. Completely unlicensed by by Marvel or by Mafex. There's no officiality here at all. So, I am not in support of this sort of product in a general sense at all, but enough of you are interested in this sort of thing that I thought it would be good for me to at least review this one, and maybe there's another one down the road that I get to review or something like that, but I'm not a fan of these things in concept, in principle, or in practice, and we're going to go through why, okay? Because I'm going to review it, but it is a $20 bootleg, okay? $20 including shipping from China. That's why this is even a conversation in the first place. All right, it's cheap as heck. So that's why people are interested in this. So let's go ahead and get them off the stand and take a closer look. Alright, so before we look at the figure, I do want to show you my package. It is basically a Mafex package that has been modified. It's not exactly, but pretty close. And you see, it is like, as far as knockoffs go, this one's not bad. I wish it looked more like the figure on here. I love that yellow. The orangey yellow looks nice. And the paints are clean as heck on there. In practice, that's not so much the case. Alright, so packaging is acceptable. Alright, so now, as for the figure, it is... I'll start off with this. For $20, it is for sure worth the 20 bucks if you're okay buying something like this. So for those of you that are like, I don't care, it doesn't matter to me at all about licensing or anything like that, this is fine. For 20 bucks... It's not that far off from the official, whatever it is, 160 to 100, depending on where you buy it and if you have to pay shipping or whatever else. Mafex figure. So, I'll get that right out of the way. If you're paying 20 bucks for this, it's impossible to be disappointed because it is essentially a crappier version of Mafex, but for a quarter or a fifth the price. Alright, and as you can see, it exists. It is fine. If you look close, it looks like a bootleg. It looks like a knockoff. The paint's on the face / cowl, not very good. The eyes are okay. But everywhere else, it's pretty, like, it is obvious. There would be no doubt if you had this next to a Mafex, which one is the fake. You also have things like the rivets in the joints that are quite noticeable. Depending on how you pose it, sometimes they're even more noticeable. The plastic for the joints also very glossy and cheap looking. The whole thing feels relatively cheap. That being said, for being a $20 figure, it doesn't feel cheap at all. It is pretty nice. Like in terms of the finish quality, it's not bad for a $20 knockoff, including shipping from China. So even if they had to pay $5, it's a $15 figure. You are definitely getting your money's worth in terms of what they put out. Would I buy this instead of the real one? Well, that's the other question is, are these kind of figures okay once the original is out of production? I would say yes, except for the fact that they do reissues. And so this thing is definitely not okay in that sense. If Mafex said, hey, we're never releasing that again, and then somebody made a knockoff, I'd be like, okay, well, nobody's getting hurt. People are just being helped. Other than Marvel, and screw them. So... which I know is hypocritical. This is definitely a questionable thing because I would bet money they're going to reissue their brown suit Wolverine. And honestly, if it was me, which it is me because I actually sold my brown suit Wolverine before these things became a thing. I wish I had it to compare, but I will buy the original, an official one, not the original one, the reissue again. I do not want this in my collection. Not on principle, though that's true too. It's just not good enough. It's good enough if you want a knock-around figure for $20, sure, but this does not look like a good collectible up close. From a distance, you wouldn't know the difference. But up close, it's bad in the details. So yeah, I'll buy the reissue. I probably will keep this, and maybe I'll throw some paint on it or something. So that's my other point is, if you're going to buy something like this to customize, hey, I say go for it. Yeah, I know that's slightly hypocritical, but it's better than wasting, so to speak, a good collectible that somebody might want as is, and this is a perfectly good usable body for a custom. So there's a lot of gray area in the idea of what's good to do with a knockoff. Like, knockoffs are not gray. They're black and white. They're wrong. Ethically, in every way. Legally, they're not good to do. But in terms of use, practicality, there is some utility here, and I get it. Okay, so yeah, it doesn't look great. It definitely looks good enough. You can see, like, it's painted, it's clean, it's just not perfect. There's some yellow going on in the skin, there's some weird stuff going on. It is definitely good enough for the price, but it does not compete with the real thing. I'm not going to do ratings on this because there's really no point. But I will go through everything. So yeah, the look's definitely good enough for 20 bucks. Alright, as far as accessories go, same thing, lower quality, but they're there. You get the two masked heads, the cowl, the unmasked head, decent set of hands. Like, it's fine. And then you get a knockoff SH Figure Arts display stand, which is funny to me. So yeah, it's a fine spread of accessories for $20. Of course, it's worth the money. Just at face value. Now, as far as articulation goes, it's basically a Mafex figure. There's a chunk of plastic in here that you have to trim off or you're going to scratch up your figure, so be aware of that. Easy to do, no big deal. But in terms of articulation, it is the Mafex Wolverine. It is built with lower quality and probably not as good tolerances. I can't get the neck to move quite right, but it's all there. It's going to function. The butterfly area seems to be not quite as good, but I don't remember if his was kind of not good in the first place. It's a little gappy, but it is functional. It works. It's not as good looking, but it's not that far off. So if you're strictly going by price, it's worth it. That needs to be lubed for sure. Oh gosh. Oh boy, that sounds bad. Elbow joint is definitely functional, definitely ugly with those gold rivets in there. Wrist joints, standard ball hinge, that's fine. For the torso, I don't remember if Mafex is sucked. This one sucks, so maybe some of their tolerances aren't quite right or something like that. It's there though, and you could easily, if you're going to modify it at all, make it functional. But he doesn't want to lean very far forward. It doesn't want to move very smoothly either. The plastics are definitely not great. But again, if you're only going by price and not anything else, it's a steal. So I know some people are gonna not care at all about any of the ethical stuff. Yeah, so like his hips are seized up. Oh, it needs to lube that, or maybe, yeah, it just needs to be lubed. Oh, it's very, very tight. So I can do the drop down, but the hip for the ball itself won't work. On this side, will it? Oh man, yeah, but it needs to be lubed. So that will probably break very easily. The thigh swivel is a little bit loose, and it's on a weird angle, it feels like. I don't know if that's how the Mafex one was. I wish I still had mine to do the comparison. But yeah, it's a little bit weird. Double jointed knee, same thing as the elbows. It's not as good as a Mafex, but it's functional. This guy does have a boot swivel. I'm pretty sure the original one does not. So like I said, they tweaked a few things. Ankle joint is just a big old ball hinge. It's functional. This one's not seated all the way. I can't get it to seat all the way. Like I said, it feels like a $20 knockoff. A really good $20 knockoff, but it is not indistinguishable at all. This is not a true substitute. It is a cheaper substitute for the real thing. So his articulation's functional enough, and if with a little tinkering, you could definitely make it work just fine. So yeah, it is a perfectly good knockoff. As far as cheap knockoffs go, for the price, I'm really surprised at the quality, which I know sounds bad because it's not good, but it's a $20 knockoff, so it's really good for that. I don't condone it. I'm not going to buy these sorts of things for my collection. I might get some to review here and there if you guys really want it. These don't belong in my collection. I can see if you don't want to spend the money and just want something that, like I said, to knock around and there's no real risk involved in it breaking or anything like that. I get it. I understand money is a thing, and worrying about the ethics is not necessarily a thing so much. I understand people's motives. It's not for me. I don't condone it. But if you are into this sort of thing, you could do a whole lot worse. It is not a bad knockoff at all. So that's my take on it. Let me know what you guys think, and if you're into this sort of thing, if you're not into this sort of thing, and why. Is it ethics? Is it just the quality? For me, the ethics go a long way, but the quality, like if it was an astoundingly good knockoff and it was only like $40 or something like that, you could maybe persuade me, if they're not in production anymore, to get one. But the way Mafex does reissues, I'm just not going to bother. I'll just buy the reissue whenever it comes out, and then I'll have my Wolverine back, since I sold mine. But I guess this guy's a little bit shorter too, by the way. Something changed, and probably the legs, if I had to guess. Anyway, that's it for me, so thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down, and if you haven't subscribed, you should. I have new videos just about every single day, starting up again because I'm back. And I do have thousands of videos already on the channel, so make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.